hearty welcome to all of you from Pado, India. Here I am with the second chapter of Class 6 History, Our Pasts. Chapter 2 says, On the Trail of the Earliest People. The earliest people. Why were they on the move? Now, we know about people who lived in the subcontinent as early as 2 million years ago. We describe them as hunter-gatherers. The name basically comes from the way in which they got their food. Generally, they hunted wild animals, caught fish and birds, gathered fruits, roots, nuts, seeds, leaves, stalks, and eggs. In a tropical country like ours, India, gathering plant produce was an extremely important means of obtaining food. But these things were not easy to do. There were many challenges. Several animals that run faster than us, many that are stronger. We had to catch them. To hunt animals or catch fish and birds, people need to be alert, quick, and have lots of presence of mind. To collect plant produce, you need to find out which plants or parts of plants are edible. That is, can be eaten as many could be poisonous. Also, you need to find out about the seasons when the fruits ripen. There are at least 4 reasons why hunter-gatherers moved from place to place. That is, they lived a nomadic life. They were nomads, wandered in groups from place to place. Now you must be wondering why they wandered in groups and not individually. Because groups consisted of a few men, women, and children who stayed together because it was safer to belong to a group rather than wander alone. The 4 reasons that why hunters and gatherers moved from place to place were that if they had stayed at one place for a long time, they would have eaten up all the available plants and animal resources. Therefore, they would have had to go elsewhere in search of food. Secondly, animals move from place to place in search of smaller prey, or in the case of deer or wild cattle in search of grass and leaves. That is why those who hunted them had to follow their movements. Thirdly, plants and trees bear fruit in different seasons, so people may have moved from season to season in search of different kinds of plants. Fourth, people, plants, and animals need water to survive. Water is found in lakes, streams, and rivers. While many rivers and lakes are perennial, that is, they flow throughout the year, others are seasonal. People living on their banks would have to go in search of water during the dry season, winter, and summer. And the last reason, people may have traveled to meet their friends and relatives. And also, it should be remembered that they traveled on foot. How do we know about these people? Archaeologists have found some of the things hunter-gatherers made and used. It is likely that people made and used tools of stone, wood, and bone, of which stone tools have survived best. You can look in the picture given in the NCERT. The A part, these marks the tools of the earliest age. These tools were made several thousand years later. These still later, and these were made about 10,000 years ago. And these are simply natural pebbles. Some of these stone tools were used to cut meat and bone, scrape bark from trees and hides, animal skins, chop fruit and roots. Some may have been attached to handles of bone or wood to make spears and arrows for hunting. Other tools were used to chop wood, which was used as firewood. And there are 2 more uses given in the NCERT: digging the ground to collect edible roots and stitching clothes made out of animal skin. Wood was also used to make huts and tools. So there are 2 uses of wood described in the NCERT. Wood was used to make huts and tools and as firewood. Choosing a place to live in. All the places marked with red triangles in the gap in the map. Choosing a place to live in. All the places marked with red triangles given in this map are sites from which archaeologists have found evidence of hunters and gatherers. These are only some sites shown in the map. There have been many more places. Many sites were located near sources of water such as rivers and lakes. Now, before we move on to the map, which gives us some important archaeological sites, we need to understand some terms. If you look at the index of the map, it shows Paleolithic sites, Neolithic sites, megalithic sites, early village, and modern city. Now, first we will understand the meaning of these three terms given in the NCERT before we move on to the archaeological sites. Paleolithic or Old Stone Age. Paleo means old and lithic means stone. The period when man used crude stone tools and weapons and led a nomadic life. And sorry, it should be L here. People were mostly hunters and gatherers in this age. In the Old Stone Age, people were mostly hunters and gatherers. The Paleolithic or the Old Stone Age can be divided into three subdivisions. Lower Paleolithic, which is from 50,000 to 1 lakh BC. Middle Paleolithic, 1 lakh to 40,000 BC. Upper Paleolithic, 40,000 to 10,000 BC. Next we move on to Lower Paleolithic Age. In this age, no human remains were found and it covers the greater part of Ice Age. Second, Middle Paleolithic Age. In this age, flake tools were found which were made of chert, which is a sedimentary rock. Thirdly, these are hard stones made by chipping the edges. Now we come to the Upper Paleolithic Age. It marks the appearance of new flint industries. Now what is a flint? It is a type of stone used for making tools which was found in the valley of Sohan River in Punjab. Modern human beings, Homo sapiens, first appeared. The climate in this age was less humid. It marks the end period of Ice Age. The climate became comparatively warmer and there was increase in flora and fauna. It means increase in plants and animals, or can be collectively clubbed as biodiversity. The Neolithic Age. It means the New Stone Age. Neo means new and lithic you all know means stone. The period when man used polished stone tools, domesticated animals, took to agriculture and led a settled life in villages. Then we move on to megalithic sites. A megalith is a large stone that has been used to construct a structure or monument either alone or together with other stones. The word megalithic describes structures made of such large without the use of mortar or concrete, mostly relevant in South India. Now we move on to the map given in the NCERT. The map shows some important archaeological sites. The index says that the red squares are the Paleolithic sites. We have already dealt with what do you mean by a Paleolithic site or the Paleolithic period. Now you can see Hangski, Kurnool caves. Hangski is in present-day Karnataka. Next site is the Bhimbetka caves. It is in Madhya Pradesh. Then we have the Neolithic sites, the blue rectangles or the blue squares. Koldiva, Mahagada, Chirand, Daujali Heding, Burzahum, and Mehergarh. And there are some more here, Hallur and Payyampalli. Then we have megalithic sites, Brahmagiri and Adichamallur. Then we have these early villages in Amgaon. Then we have modern cities like Mumbai and Kolkata. There have been some findings of archaeologists on these sites. Like in Mehergarh, earliest evidence of agriculture was found. Mehergarh is here. It is in present-day Pakistan. In Koldiva, earliest evidence of rice was found. It is a Neolithic site. It is here. Chirand, which is here, serpent cult was found. In Kurnool caves, which is a Paleolithic site, ashes of fire were found. In Bhimbetka, which is a Paleolithic site again, in present-day Madhya Pradesh, cave paintings were found. In Amgaon, which is an early village, statue of Mother Goddess was found. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. Places where stone was found and where people made tools are known as factory sites. Now, how do we know, or how the archaeologists know, that where these factories were made? Usually, we find blocks of stone, tools that were made and perhaps discarded because they were not perfect, and chips of waste stone left behind at these sites. Sometimes people lived here for longer spells of time. These sites are called habitation cum factory sites. Below is shown the picture of Bhimbetka caves, which is in present-day Madhya Pradesh. Some sites, known as habitation sites, are places where people lived. These include caves and rock shelters, such as the one shown below. People chose these natural caves because they provided shelter from rain, heat, and wind. Natural caves and rock shelters are found in the Vindhyas and in the Deccan Plateau. These rock shelters are close to Narmada Valley. Now, they also provide safety from wild animals. In the previous pages, we have dealt with sites, factory sites, habitation cum factory sites, and habitation sites. Now, but what is a site? These are places where the remains of things, tools, pots, buildings are found. These were made, used, and left behind by people. These may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even under water. Making stone tools. Stone tools were probably made using two different techniques. The first is called the stone on stone, in which the pebble from which the tool was to be made, also called the core, was held in one hand. Another stone, which was used as a hammer, was held in another hand. The second stone was used to strike off flakes from the first till the required shape was obtained. The second technique used for making stone tools was pressure flaking. Here, the core was placed on a firm surface. The hammer stone was used on a piece of bone or stone that was placed on the core to remove flakes that could be shaped into tools. Finding out about the fire. We have already dealt with Kurnool caves in the map that we had discussed earlier. Traces of ash have been found here. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. But an important thing to note is that fire was an accidental discovery. It was not discovered purposely. Fire could have been used for as a source of light, to roast meat, and to scare away animals. A changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world with a shift to relatively warmer conditions. In many areas, this led to the development of grasslands, which led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep, and cattle. These animals survived on grass. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits and their breeding seasons. It is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing. Fishing also became important. This was also a time when several grain bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, rice, in different parts of the subcontinent, men, women, and children probably connected these grains as food and learned where they grow and when they ripened. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. Names and dates. Archaeologists have given lengthy names for the time that we are studying. They call the earliest period the Paleolithic. This comes from two Greek words, as I have already explained, paleo meaning old and lithos meaning stone. This gives the importance of findings of stone tools. The Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. The long stretch of time is divided into lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. The period where we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic Middle Stone. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Microliths were probably stuck onto handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws, and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continued to be in use. The next stage from about 10,000 years ago is known as Neolithic Age or the New Stone Age. Rock paintings and what they tell us. Many of the caves in which these early people lived have paintings on the walls. Some of the best examples are from Madhya Pradesh and southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. Who did what? Meaning, division of labor. We have seen that the earliest people hunted, gathered plant produce, made stone tools, painted on cave walls. Is there any way of finding out whether women hunted or men made stone tools, whether women painted or men gathered fruits and nuts? At present, we do not really know that. However, there can be at least two possibilities. It is likely that both men and women may have done many of these things together. It is also possible that some tasks were done only by women and others only by men. And again, there would have been different practices in different parts of the subcontinent depending upon the customs, rituals, and the orientation of the society. Ostriches in India. Ostriches were found in India during the Paleolithic period. Large quantities of ostrich eggshells were found in Patna in Maharashtra. Designs were engraved on some pieces while beads were made out of them. A closer look, Hangski. It is a Paleolithic site in present-day Karnataka. A large number of tools used for all sorts of activities were also found. These were probably habitation cum factory sites. In some of the other smaller sites, there is evidence to suggest that tools were made. Some of the sites were close to springs or water sources. Most tools were made from limestone, which was locally available. The painting below is from a cave in France. This site was discovered by 4 school children more than 100 years ago. Paintings like this were made between 20,000 and 10,000 years ago. Many of these were of animals such as wild horses, aurochs, which is an older wild form of cattle, bison, holy rhinoceros, reindeer, and deer, painted in bright colors. The colors were made from minerals like ochre or iron ore and charcoal. It is possible that these paintings were done on ceremonial occasions or for special rituals or performed by hunters before they went in search of prey. So this brings us to the end of the chapter. Thank you so much. Please like, share and subscribe the channel and do join us for the next video.